And then, like, Komi gets a cell phone.
Yes.
And the whole plot of this arc is, like, she wants to,
she wants to get Todd.
She wants Todno's phone number.
So number,
but Todno is such
oblivious.
So Todno is very good at reading the room, but he has no idea that he has issues when reading Komi's feelings.
Yeah.
When it comes to him.
Yeah.
So he doesn't realize Komi wants his cell phone number, and instead he interprets it as, oh, she wants everyone else's cell phone number.
Okay.
Which eventually then he roundabout finds out, oh, no, I did want your cell phone number.
Yeah.
And then we get a cute scene of Komi in her room playing on her phone, doing exactly what all of us did when we got our first cell phone.
Yep.
Just pressing the buttons, flipping it back and forth,
yep.
pretending to talk on it, and then she accidentally dials Todno and then freaks out and hangs up on him.
Yep.
It's kind of funny. It's very wholesome. Like, everything about the anime is
yeah.
extremely wholesome. And there's like... Hey guys, I'm Bill, also known as the Barbecue Games on Instagram.
And I'm Alex, his sister, who brings only chaos.
And together we are the Gaming and Collecting Podcast, a mostly video game centered podcast.
But half the time, we just talk about anime.
And that collecting thing, well, that's mostly just an implication at best.
So come along and enjoy us on this adventure
as we discuss the games that shaped us. And we're back.
We're back. And Tilly's here this time.
Yeah, great.
No, she's a blessing.
She wasn't during the Simpsons episode, that's for sure.
Well, she'll be much on better behavior, I promise.
Yep. So in between this episode and the last one we recorded, we actually
built a
me and Alex built a storage cube.
Yes.
Thing. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Probably pissed off the neighbors with all the hammering, but whatever.
Alright, it was only like people will get over it. Right, Tim? Sorry.
But speaking of loud and obnoxious noises, we completely forgot to tell this story.
Oh yeah. So
right now I'm visiting Alex, and Alex currently lives in an apartment complex.
Yes.
And right next to that complex is like a car wash.
Well, it's set behind it. So like the apartment complex is next to it, but then my section of apartments is behind the car wash.
Yeah.
Which normally never have a problem. It's not like a loud car wash or anything, but recently I believe teenagers have decided that the car wash is a great place to party and hang out, and I think they're teenagers. That's what they look like from what I've seen.
Yeah.
But we're watching, well, what this episode is about. We were watching some episodes of the shows we're going to talk about, and suddenly, like, music just
blasting music.
Blaring.
Like,
it's
obnoxious subwoofers.
It's obnoxious, like rap subwoofers. It's just like, what the heck is this? Hip-hop. Well, not all of it's garbage, but this was, like, pretty... I mean, annoying. I think anything sounds garbage when it's coming out of the subwoofer. I'm not going to lie. So that's happening, and we're both just like, what the hell? And it's 9:30, and I'm like, well, technically, like, the town noise ordinance is at, like, 10, so I technically, like, was like, I'm not sure if I can call. So I waited until 10, and it was like...
It wasn't getting any better. It was honestly getting worse.
No, it was getting worse, and, like, more and more cars were coming, so...
Yeah, there was, like, 12 cars in there.
Yeah. But it was funny because literally the weekend or two before, she was fine.
Yeah, I've seen cats brush their teeth on the tip of laptops and break the screens, so I'm not having it happen.
Well, okay. So anyways, it kind of happened the week before, except it wasn't, like, a lot of music, but it was more they just kept revving their engines, but it was kind of the same group of cars that looked like teenagers, and it was obnoxious. So I actually had to call the police, like, 2 weekends ago. So we were but that was at, like, 11 to midnight, and I was pissed, so I called. But today it was like at 9:30, and I was like, oh, come on. So I waited until 10, and I was like, I can't take this anymore, so I called.
Keep in mind, they weren't being subtle, like, at all.
No, yeah.
Like, there was, like, 12 cars in this car wash, which, granted, they probably couldn't see the apartment complex, but they were right on the frickin' main road. So.
Yeah, so I was like, it's weird. Like, I'm like, why would you even want to party here? Like, okay. But... Regardless. So I was getting pissed. So I was like, all right, I'm calling. So I called them, and I'm like, hi, I live at blah, blah, blah apartment, and there's this really loud music happening. at the car wash, like right behind us, and I was telling her like how my apartment is kind of behind the car wash and they can't really see it from the road, and she was like, oh my god, I was like, I literally just got off this call, I didn't realize I was at the car wash. And I was like, yes, it's at the car wash, like there's, I was like, and we're creeping through like the blinds in my bathroom and the kitchen door, and we're creeping through and we're just like, yeah, like it looks like teenagers, like it looks like a bunch of like kids, like I don't know. I was like, they're probably partying and drinking, but it's really obnoxious, so please help. And they were like, don't worry, we're on the way, we're gonna send an officer down. And not even 5 minutes later,
suddenly the music stops. And then all of a sudden you see all the cars just peeling out of there.
All the cars start revving their engines and like booking it.
And then next thing I know, blue lights appear, and it's like, oh, they've been caught.
Yeah, it was so satisfying because we were both just like pissed because it was so obnoxious.
And some of them didn't get away, which was great.
Yeah. Oh. Tilly's found the new cabinet. Oh, what a terror. So that was, but it was like, you know, like those like instant karma Reddit posts. That was like the most satisfying instant karma. It was just like you were literally there for a half hour and then you got like booted out. Like, so I'm hoping that maybe after this time they don't come back, but I feel like they're gonna come back at some point. But it was pretty satisfying.
Yeah. But anyways,
yeah, so we had an eventful evening.
Yeah, it was pretty loud. But I mean, other than that, still the same recording session we've been on. Still in Connecticut. Alex's cat is being a terror. I'm concerned she's gonna pull the thing down on top of her.
No, it's not heavy enough to do that. She's not that strong. It's fine. She's just gonna mess with the bins, if anything. She's back. What are you doing?
I like how she's learned. Like, at first she went for the top one. I said no. Then she went for the middle row. I said no. And then she kind of poked her on the bottom, and now she's just scratching over there.
For distraction. I'm sure you guys can hear it.
Yeah.
It's pretty loud. No.
Tilly's being obnoxious, like always.
No, she's not obnoxious.
She's a little
cute.
obnoxious
No,
sometimes.
She's cute.
Yeah, like when she beats you up in the morning.
I mean, it's annoying at the time, but it's cute.
Okay. Well, anyways, so as we alluded to, we were watching shows during that Midnight Massacre.
Yes.
And
Midnight Massacre.
Sure.
Jesus. Not really a massacre, more just like...
What this episode's topic is going to be is we're actually going to be having our third iteration of Alex's Pride and Joy.
Yeah.
Anime swap.
Anime swap.
So no gaming this time, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, we're borderline an anime podcast half the time anyways.
It's
so.
an anime. It's honestly just like a nerdy podcast at this point.
Nostalgia podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, for this iteration of Anime Swap, we're going to be discussing, once again, two shows that have nothing to do with each other, because that's how this show rolls.
Yes.
So this time around, we're going to be comparing Komi Can't Communicate and Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah.
The 2011 version.
Yes. The most recent version.
Yes.
Oh.
So, continuing on, so I guess we should start. The first show that we watched was Komi Can't Communicate.
Yes, and we watched the first 5 episodes.
Yeah, we did the first 5 episodes of both shows just to kind of get like a decent like understanding.
Yeah.
Of both, because I've seen all of Komi and Alex has seen all of Hunter x Hunter.
Yes.
That's been released so far. So, Komi Can't Communicate is...
Hey! She's freaking scratching my chair.
She's being obnoxious as possible.
Oh my god.
So, Komi Can't Communicate is a coming-of-age romantic comedy slice of life manga that very recently got an anime. Like, the manga started back in 2016, and it's only getting an anime as of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And so the manga is written by Tomohito Oda, not that Oda.
Not my Oda.
And it's been going on pretty long, about 24 volumes so far. The anime only covers like the first, I think, like 7 or 8 volumes of the manga so far.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess to go with it, the story is basically, it revolves around 2 characters. There's Hitohito Tanado, who is like the main protagonist of the manga,
mm-hmm.
and Shoko Komi, who is the titular Komi. And her whole thing is she suffers from severe social anxiety and struggles with making friends and just socializing in general.
Yep.
And she is like the most, what makes her special is she is like the most beautiful like character basically in this entire show. Like it's a plot point that she is like beyond like
she's gorgeous,
attractive. And but the way she her eyes are, she has this kind of intimidating look to her when in reality it's just her having a internal struggle because she doesn't know how to talk to people. So the show basically starts out with, the whole premise is it's like a high school of like weird characters essentially. Like everybody in this high school has some
sort of like character quirk.
Yeah, weird like thing about them. Like there's like literally a girl who just wears knight armor for no reason.
Yeah.
There's like super edgy students. Like there's a student that's literally in like Naruto gear at one point. There's like a bunch of like, there's an incredibly disturbing Yandere girl.
Yeah.
But then the running joke is that the main character Tadano is like the most average human being in the entire school, and he encounters Komi on the first day of school, and she doesn't know what to do and runs away because she's afraid to talk. And throughout the first episode, it's kind of like we get kind of it's implied that everyone in the school adores Komi, but they're too afraid to talk to her because of the aura she gives off, which is something that Tadano is very good at like picking up on.
Yeah.
And throughout he ends up getting like knocked out at one point and falls asleep on his desk. And he wakes up to Komi talking to a stuffed cat.
Yeah. Which
is like the first time he hears her voice. And then she notices her, and she immediately tries to flee the room.
Yes.
Which he then stops her by kind of explaining that he picks up on the fact that she's not good at talking to people.
Yeah.
Which causes them to...
He's good at reading the room.
Yeah, that's his thing. So it then proceeds to... the two of them start chatting by writing on the chalkboard, and that's how they communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And they slowly establish that Komi's goal is to make 100 friends, which Tadano then points out, well, that's only 99 left to go.
Yeah. Which is really cute. It was a very cute line.
Which Komi then... So Komi has two forms. She's got her regular eyes where she has kind of an intimidating look to her, and then she has her curious eyes, I guess you'd say, where she gets really bug-eyed and embarrassed, which is when she's kind of like nervous or something. Yeah. Or intrigued. So then the show kind of goes on, and then each episode kind of has like a titular friend that she's trying to like...
It's someone that she's trying to befriend each time. Yeah. So it's like every episode is like she gains a new friend.
Yeah, somewhat. So the first friend is obviously Najima, not Nanjima, I think.
Yes, who is everyone's childhood friend.
Yeah, that's her thing, or their friend thing. So the whole gimmick with them is that they don't have a gender. They're very... that's the whole joke, is that they change whenever they... depending on the situation.
Yeah.
And
which is very, like, for... like an anime, like that's a very progressive topic. I mean, a lot of them don't cover that because it's very, the Japanese culture, it's not really...
Well, that's why they're not expressed as trans or anything, because the Japanese culture, that's different over there. So the whole, depending on the situation, sometimes she's a guy, sometimes she's a girl.
Yeah, but it's a very progressive concept, especially with our world nowadays. Yeah. So it's really interesting that they did something like that.
Najima is childhood friends with essentially everybody, and was one of Tadano's childhood friends and knew him back in the day. And the whole running joke is that she actually knew Komi as well back in the day, but and when they tried to talk to Komi freaked out and didn't know what to do. Because of that, she got intimidated by her and thought Komi didn't want to be friends with her. Yeah. Which is why she doesn't want to be friends with Komi. Yeah. And then it kind of like, they progressively like gain an understanding and become friends. But what's funny is this whole conversation is going on out in the hallway, and meanwhile Komi's still in shock that she didn't want to be her friend. Yeah, and she's just like, stuck there in the classroom, frozen. So eventually they walk home together, and then at one point this like muscle-bound guy shows up and like confesses to Najima about being in love with her, which she goes, well, that's weird, I'm a boy, because she changes all the time. Yeah. And then Komi notices he drops his keys, and she tries to give him back his keys, and he thinks Komi's like threatening him.
He thinks he's like, well, because like she kind of like says like pronounces some of the words, so it sounds like kill.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh my god, you killed my family with those keys?
And then he runs off, and she's literally... So the whole time, too, there's also a narrator who's kind of expressing, like, what the thoughts are of the characters.
Yeah.
And, like, she's like, Komi just wanted to give him back his keys.
Komi was just trying to be nice and was misunderstood.
Yep. So the episodes progress onward, where it's essentially the next one you get, like... They find another girl who has a similar... So she can't... It's not that she can't talk, but she's very, like, nervous and, like, socially inept.
Yeah.
And Komi starts... Because they find that they have similar personalities, Komi sees her as a kindred spirit and begins stalking her
as a potential friend.
Yep. And begins stalking her throughout the school, which freaks her out. And they end up, like, reconciling and realizing that, oh, okay, you're too special to be my friend, but I'm gonna be your slave.
I'm gonna be your dog.
Which
I think that's
like,
literally
okay.
what she says.
Yeah. There's a lot of really goofy characters in this show. And it progresses on, and then, like, Komi gets a cell phone.
Yes.
And the whole plot of this arc is, like, she wants to...
she wants to get Todd.
She wants Todd No's phone number. But Todd No is such
oblivious.
So Todd No is very good at reading the room, but he has no idea that he has issues when reading Komi's feelings.
Yeah.
When it comes to him.
Yeah.
So he doesn't realize Komi wants his cell phone number, and instead he interprets it as, oh, she wants everyone else's cell phone number.
Okay.
Which eventually then he roundabout finds out, oh, no, I did want your cell phone number.
Yeah.
And then we get a cute scene of Komi in her room playing on her phone, doing exactly what all of us did when we got our first cell phone.
Yep.
Just pressing the buttons, flipping it back and forth,
yep.
pretending to talk on it, and then she accidentally dials Todd No and then freaks out and hangs up on him.
Yep.
What do we get? It's kind of fun. It's very wholesome. Like, everything about the anime is extremely wholesome. And there's, like, a great arc where to get Komi to, like, break out of her shell, Najima, like, sends her off to get this very, like, overly complicated, like, coffee order at, like, a Starbucks ripoff.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called in the show, but
it was like
I don't remember. That doesn't matter. It was Starbucks
but it was
ripoff.
Starbucks ripoff.
But she keeps, like, going in and out because she just can't.
She can't get the courage. But honestly, like, sometimes, like, looking at, like, that scene was so relatable because sometimes, like, I'll, like, want to get a coffee, and then I'll look at how crowded it is in a place, and I'll just be like, oh, I don't want to do that. There's a lot of social reaction. So I, like, totally related to that scene, because, like, I've been there. I've done that. I've been like, and then I was like, never mind. Like, when I was in Japan, it was really funny. I wanted to get, like, a crepe, and, like, it was at this crepe truck, and it was so crowded, and I just, like, it was getting so crowded, and there were so many people, and, like, they couldn't understand me and I couldn't understand them, and I had paid, and then, like, I was waiting and I was like, I'm so overwhelmed, and I just ran away because I was just so overwhelmed, and I was like, it's too much. So I totally related with her situation there.
The funny part is, though, like, the order is incredibly complicated.
Yeah.
But it's implied that Komi remembers it, like, word for word.
Yeah.
But she's too afraid to actually say it, so the guy behind the counter just kind of guesses because the menu isn't very, like, easy for her to figure out. So then she gets this very not right drink and brings it back. And then they're like, oh, this isn't right at all. Damn. And then Komi just starts to cry. And they all of a sudden feel terrible.
And then they start apologizing, like, groveling on the floor, and Komi's just like, no, don't do that. She's even more overwhelmed.
That one's great. So then there was only, like, we only listened to watch 2 more episodes, and they were probably 2 of the more fascinating characters.
Oh, yeah.
The next was
the
infamous Yamai episode, where Yamai is a very interesting character in the series because she's very lover or hater.
Yeah.
She is the most... So her whole gimmick is she is in love with Komi.
Yeah.
Like, in love with Komi.
Yandere.
To the point where it's kind of disturbing, and she hates Todd No.
Kind of? It is disturbing.
Yeah. So she hates Todd No so much that she actually kidnaps him and ties him up and locks her in her room.
Well,
which is
funny because at the beginning of the episode, it's just like, you see, like, a flash of him, and then, like, he, like, disappears, and I'm like, what happened? And I'm like, did she, like, kill him or something? And you're like, just wait. It was like, what the fuck?
But the best part is he's tied up in her room, and her room is literally just photos of Komi all over the wall.
Pinned all over the wall.
And it's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
But eventually, like, throughout the day, like of her trying to befriend Komi, they eventually invites Komi and Najima to her house.
Yeah.
And then they immediately find Tadano tied up in the closet.
Well, it's funny too because she's like, the closet starts making banging noises because he's trying to escape, and she's just like, "Oh, it's just the neighbor. He'll stop soon."
Yep. And then she's like, quietly in the closet, "I'll take you to that hill and bury you now." And it's like,
and it's just like so chaotic. And then as soon as she's leaving, she's like, "And don't look in the closet," in like the scary voice. And then as soon as she's out, Najima looks
immediately opens the closet and Todd knows there, and she's like, "Oh, was I interrupting?" And goes to shut the door.
And he's like, "No!" screaming.
And basically, they eventually Komi eventually basically goes like, "I'll make my own friends, thank you."
Yeah.
And then lets him go and they leave. And then the next day it's implied that she does, so it's basically she doesn't really want to be Yamai's friend, but she'll be her friend anyways just because. Yeah. But she doesn't particularly like her.
Yeah.
By any
she's
means.
Happy to have a new friend, but also doesn't
really care for this one
really
much.
Want to be friends with her. Which is understandable because especially too because she has budding feelings for Tadano.
Yeah, and Tadano's also the one person that truly understands her. Yeah. And she really cares about.
And she really wants to be Tadano's friend. So.
Yeah. So, and she even at one point confronts Tadano. It's like, "Is me being your friend good?"
Yeah, I feel like I'm making your life harder, and he's like, "No, it's fine."
Well, he basically goes, "Oh, okay, I understand, but that's my choice to make."
Yeah.
And basically tells her you can think whatever you want, but that's not going to change my mind.
Yeah.
Which is a really nice, wholesome scene.
Yeah.
And then we get the final episode we listened to was one of the funniest ones because it was, it was a combination of a lot of things happened in this episode. We had the physical examination where we were introduced to Komi's rival.
Yeah.
Yadano, who is the try-hard of the school, and Komi literally just exceeds at everything without trying because of course she does. And the funniest part is they're going through the in-school physicals.
Yep.
And she, the joke is that Komi beats her at everything except for weight.
Yeah, weight and sitting height.
And sitting height, which she's like, "Yes, I beat her at this." And then she kind of gets that realization that she beat her at weight.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh,
which is not particularly especially for girls trying to be feminine.
Yeah.
Which she then goes, "Well, I don't need to be feminine, so I beat her at something."
Yeah.
So there's that subplot, and then we also get we meet Komi's mother.
Yes.
Who is literally
looks identical to Komi, but is the polar opposite.
She literally describes herself as a eternal 17-year-old, which she basically is.
Yeah.
Because she's the polar opposite, super chatty, incredibly juvenile at times. And Komi is ultra embarrassed by her.
Yeah.
Which is great. And then we also get the final there was the ramen scene too, where Komi was the only person that actually understands all the rules of the ramen place.
Yeah.
While everyone else struggles.
Yep.
Which was funny. There was that. The whole anime is just really relatable, especially for people who have social anxiety. Which is a more common trait in America sometimes than in Japan.
No, I definitely could relate to her situations a bunch of time. I mean, especially that's where she's going to the Starbucks and she's just there's so many people, and especially I feel Starbucks makes me anxious too because it has all of that grande abundance of small and large, and you feel someone's judging you. Be like, "Can I just have a small coffee, please? I don't want any."
That's just why I don't go to Starbucks because I don't have time for that.
Well, I just one of my favorite things is I love mobile ordering, because that just makes it so much easier, and you're just oh, so much. But I totally relate to some of the anxious stuff because I've never been a person to enjoy presenting or standing in front of the class. Anytime we had to read in front of the class, in high school. Hated it. Luckily, my English teacher in high school, for 2 years was super nice and really chill and knew that I wasn't about this, but I was a good student, so he was like, "All right, you get the pass. I'm just never gonna call on you."
So, but anyways, the final final part of episode 5, the last part we saw was they were doing some school sports things, and it's funny because literally the entire time, it's back to Komi and Yadano again. And Yadano is trying so hard to beat Komi at all these competitions, and Komi's just doing it effortlessly. Yadano's funny too because she isn't an unattractive girl compared to everyone else in the show. But whenever she gets super intense, her face becomes this like deformed, like very, very Mob Psycho-ish, as I'd say,
some
or like
of the Mob Psycho designs,
or One Punch Man-ish.
Yeah,
very one-ish, I guess you could say. And it's just funny because she tries so hard, like especially for when she's running and she's like going super try hard.
Yeah. And
then Komi just effortlessly runs past her without trying.
Yeah.
And the whole time at the end of the climax, she's all like, "Okay, I understand. Sorry for being such a bitch." And like being like, "I see, we can be equals." And Komi is having a meltdown because she isn't even aware that any of this was going on.
She's like, "What is happening?"
And then the Yadno takes that as she still sees her as a rival. So we will forever be enemy rivals, and goes off into the sunset.
Yeah.
And then becomes a minor character for the rest of the manga after that. And we ended it off there. I've watched the entire. It's only been. So the anime it just started its second season now, and it's only has like 13 episodes so far. The dub for season 2 hasn't started yet, so I haven't got around to it.
Yeah.
But overall, I really like the manga itself. It's a very wholesome, heartwarming manga. The anime definitely exaggerates some of the more disturbing elements of the the manga a bit. But overall, I enjoyed it. I like the characters. I really like the dynamics between them. I like how they're all super relatable, even though some of them are not real human beings at all. And I love the animation and like art. Like I love the bizarre like animation transitions and like how Komi has a tendency to like sprint away when she's afraid or like sprout cat ears just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
The bug eyes are my favorite. Like they're just the whole thing is wholesome.
Yeah. Beyond
belief. But I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to more manga coming out because the manga is like so much farther ahead than the anime is right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my thoughts on it.
You want to hear mine?
I mean,
yeah. Okay. So I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed it. But it definitely made me realize like I watch shonen shows and like shows with action for a reason. I don't really go towards the romance. Even like slice of life. I'm not really into the huge high school shows. But I did think it was a good show. Like I'd give it like a 7.5 or 8 out of 10. But it's like I honestly think it's just like it's not like a show for me anymore. Like when I was younger and in like high school when I was first watching anime, I would have eaten this shit up. Like I would have loved it. But now where my tastes have really changed, it's not necessarily the show for me. I'll definitely finish it. Since like I started watching it, I definitely want to finish it. But it might be like one of those shows that like I put on while I'm doing something else.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, I just couldn't keep my focus during it. Like, but I think that's just because like my shows that I watch, like One Piece, JoJo's, that time I was reincarnated as a slime, like My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, they're all action. There's all a lot of things going on. There's fight scenes. There's stuff like that. So I think it's just more my taste has shifted. But I'll definitely finish it at some point, Tillard. I'll definitely finish it at some point. But it's definitely a show that, like, it's not for me. It's for you.
A one and done.
Yeah, it's not for me. It's for you. But I can still appreciate it because there's definitely moments where I related to it.
It has strong characters. The problem with a lot of these slice of lives is that you don't give a shit about the characters.
Yeah.
Or they're overtly fan servicey, which I'm tired of.
No, yeah.
This one is not fan servicey at all. Despite some weirdos on the internet, but
no, it really wasn't, which is I think that's why I will finish it. Like compared to other slice of life shows where I like can't even finish it. But I wasn't bored. Like I definitely wasn't bored watching it. Like the humor was really good.
To be honest, too, the story doesn't pick up till the anime hasn't even really got to the point where the story really starts to pick up.
Yeah,
the beginning's a bit slow.
I think, like, we were kind of talking about it, like, a future arc you kept referencing. I think I'll get more into it. But for now, I'll definitely finish it, but it's definitely...
not a top priority.
It's not, yeah. I'd probably rewatch One Piece before I finish
You'll rewatch One Piece before a lot of anime.
Yeah, but that's because it's just my favorite, and I love that show. So, but I don't think it's bad. I think it's a really good show, and I think it's very relatable, especially to a a lot of people nowadays who struggle with social anxiety.
I believe I've read the show's actually more, the manga and show are actually have a higher popularity. It took off more in America than it did in Japan.
And I think it's really understandable because I think it's just more, I guess it's more socially accepted here in that, like, a lot of people struggle with this, so I think a lot of people relate to it. Because I know I, like I said, I related to a bunch of scenes in there, like, you know, sometimes you just get so anxious over, like, little things, and you just, like, you can't control it, but you try, and make changes, so
definitely.
I think it was definitely very well done, and I will finish it, and I probably will watch season 2 as well, but it definitely won't be, like, my priority show. Sure.
I will say, though, I love the art style and the music.
The art style is, in the music, it's very good.
And the art is very faithful to the manga. I mean, the manga's a bit more stylized at points, but I mean, most manga are.
Like, I think one of my favorite scenes is when, like, Komi and Tadano were, like, originally communicating with the chalkboard. The chalkboard scene is one of the most important. And the music is kind of playing in the background, and it was just, like, a very pretty, nice scene. So I definitely could appreciate that.
There are some more great ones later on in the show as well. But anyways, guys, before we start our before Alex goes into her thoughts on Hunter x Hunter, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Woo!
And we're back.
We're back.
So now we're going to continue on to our
Sorry, Tilly just scared me.
We're going to continue on with our second show that we wanted to discuss, and this time it's Hunter x Hunter, a show that is significantly different from Komi.
Oh yeah, so Hunter x Hunter is a very different show. It was written by Yoshihiro Togashi, who also created...
was the creator of Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yu Yu Hakusho. The manga originally started in 1998 and is still going to the present, but currently it's on hold due to health issues from the mangaka. So it's actually kind of interesting to reflect on because we really don't know what's going to happen with the manga because from all we've heard from the health issues is that his wife is actually the mangaka for Sailor Moon. So she's actually been learning to do his drawing style because she may have to take over someday and finish it out. So it's kind of interesting and it's a little sad. So I haven't watched it in a while, so it was kind of nice to go back and rewatch it. So the anime is kind of interesting. So in 1999 through in October 1999 through March 2001, Hunter x Hunter was originally adapted into a 62 anime series.
I'm actually surprised it went that long, to be honest.
Yeah. So, and then there was also, like, some OVAs as well, which totaled to, like, 30 episodes. And then in 2011 to 2014, they created a brand new version with updated animation, and also updated animation, and it continued through the manga, because I believe it stopped because the manga was... They ran out of... It's kind of like what happened with Black Clover, where they ran out of manga.
Or
Inuyasha, where they ran out of manga. And
although, unlike Inuyasha, they didn't restart from scratch when they came back.
Yeah. Hunter x Hunter... Well, I think Hunter x Hunter's reason for restarting from scratch was it was several years later. 10 years later, since it finished in 2001. And the anime quality animation quality has gotten so much better through time. So they decided to do that. And it honestly was a great decision because it really brought a resurgence into the series and a lot of the fan base. So the main plot follows a young boy named Gon Freaks. And the first episode starts out with Gon on his home island, and he's actually fishing to catch this giant, like, bog. They call it, like, the bog master or something. And... he made a deal with his aunt, who he lives with, that if he caught the bog monster of the lake, he would be able to go and take the hunter exam. So, this whole world is kind of centered around these things called hunters, which they're, like, licensed members of, like, society who are able to, like, track down secret treasures, rare beasts, or even other individuals. So, And hunters basically are able, like, they have a lot of, like, freedom. Sorry, there's a car roaring its engine right now, if you hear that in the background. So they're able to, like, if you're a hunter, you're actually able to get, well, one, like, a lot of money, but also you get, like, a lot of free passes. So if you can go to other areas that not everyone could potentially go to, as well as get, like, free lodging and everything. So if you can become a hunter, it's a pretty good deal. So everyone kind of becomes a hunter for their own reason, whether they are treasure hunters, rare beast hunters. There's even, like, we didn't get to it, but there's even, like, gourmet hunters, which are hunters that hunt for gourmet food, which is cool. So anyone can kind of be a hunter. But going back to Gon, he was challenged. He said he can leave the island if he is able to catch, like, the bog beast. And the bog beast was actually caught by his father when he was the same age as him. And Gon's father, Jin, is also a hunter. But unfortunately, Gon never got to know his father. He was raised by his aunt, so he literally knows nothing about him besides that he's a hunter. So Gon's whole goal of becoming a hunter is to honestly understand his father and potentially meet him, which is, like, really wholesome. I mean, like, not wholesome, but, like, he just wants to know who his father is and kind of, like, learn more about himself as well along the way. So after Gon catches the sea bog beast thing, I can't remember, he ends up leaving for the hunter exam. And his first kind of stop on the way to becoming a hunter is he has to take a boat because he lives on a remote island. So he gets on the boat, and on the boat he meets two people. He meets Kurapika and Leorio, which are two characters that will be very involved in the story as it goes on.
They had very defined designs, so clearly they were good.
Yeah, that's one thing you'll be able to notice with the show is that, like, if they're an important character, they usually have a very defined design, but also, like, a nice, pleasing design, too. I feel like a lot of the background characters you could tell were kind of ugly and stuff, or something like that. So, they go on the boat, and, they're, like, the boat ends up actually being, like, kind of a part of the test. Like, it's basically, like, they're seeing if you're even qualified to even get to the test at this point. Because to be a hunter, it is not easy. It's really hard, and you could die. That's basically how they put it. Like,
yeah, there's a good chance you might die.
There's a good chance you might die. So, as they're on the boat, each, like, the boat is like a test. So what happens is, like, Gon's on the deck, and he's like, Gon has, like, this weird sense of smell. He has a really great sense of smell, and, like, taste, and he is on the boat, and he's like, that's weird. And he, like, alerts the captain that it's like, there's a storm coming, I can smell it in the air. And it's kind of, the smelling thing is, like, kind of something that will follow throughout, and it helps Gon a lot. So the captain's like, oh, okay, awesome. And in his mind, the gears are turning, and he's realizing, oh, this is Jin Freak's kid.
Yeah.
Which is cool, because Gon's father is, like, a notoriously famous hunter. So everyone knows him but Gon, basically. Yeah. Which is really interesting. So the storm's happening, and everyone goes below deck, and you'll see that Leorio, Kurapika, and Gon are all fine. So everyone else on the ship is basically, like, keeled over sick from, like, seasickness and stuff. So basically all those people, they don't even get the chance to take the hunter exam at this point. They've already been disqualified. So that means just only the three of them are technically qualified. So the captain ends up bringing them onto the boat with them into the captain's quarters, and he asks them why they want to be a hunter. And Gon being Gon is just like, oh, I want to be a hunter because I really want to know my dad. I want to understand him. My dad's a hunter, and I want to follow in his footsteps and meet him, which is really wholesome. But Kurapika...
Gon really thinks differently than everyone else in the show, which is pretty interesting.
Gon is, like, a very wholesome, open-minded character. He's very interesting, and he's very, like, very emotional, too, like, to the heart. And you didn't see it as much yet, but as the series goes on, you'll really see it in the future. So anyways, Kurapika and Leorio refuse to tell the reason why they're going on the boat. And they actually end up arguing with each other and eventually leave to go fight on the boat. And Gon's just like, and the captain is trying to stop them, but Gon's like, no, like, when we're emotional, like, you need to sometimes, like, let it out. Obviously, they're both emotional. They need to so fighting it out will make them understand why they're feeling what they're feeling. So they go and fight it out. Gon goes up on deck 2, and what's happening is, I think it was like a upstream or something, like a water spout was happening. So they had to, like, maneuver the ship away, had to turn up the sails and stuff, and so Gon goes out to help the crew. But as that's happening, and Kurapika and Leorio are about to fight, one of the crewmates goes overboard, and they try and catch him, but they miss. But thankfully, Gon's there, and he jumps out, and they're able to reach out to Gon, who's then able to pull him up. And after that, like, after working together, and Gon being Gon, and just being upbeat and happy, they're able to resolve their issues and, like, move on. Which was really wholesome.
It was a cool character moment, because it did establish that all these guys actually are decent people, but they all have very different viewpoints.
Yeah.
And they also have very hidden depths, like, who's the guy in the suit again?
Leorio.
Leorio, like, hides what he actually is, like, his real reason for being a hunter.
Yeah.
Like, he's very dead set on not coming off as a good guy at first.
So kind of after that, they end up chatting with the captain again, and they end up telling why they want to do it. And Leorio goes, oh, I want to do it for money. I want to be rich, rich, rich. And it's not his true... Well, it is his true reason, but there's more behind it that you'll find out later into the episode. And Kurapika's reason is that he was actually the last remaining member of his clan, the Kurta clan. And he wants to become a hunter to avenge his clan. And you find out a little more about that later. But after that, the crew, the group goes into the town, and they have to end up finding their way to the actual hunter exam. Because it's not, like, straightforward. You have to find it, and there's also these guides on your way, which the captain of the boat was a guide. And then the next guide is this woman and, like, these, like, cloaked people. And they basically, like, ask questions. And if you answer it correctly, like, the answer they want to hear, then they'll guide you to the next portion of the exam. But if not, they'll let you pass, and they'll basically you'll never find it. You need these guides to end up going. So Leorio, Kurapika, and Gon all pass the question. And Gon's really wholesome, and he's like, I'm still thinking about it. He's like, I don't know what I would do in that situation. It's like, and, like, the whole point is you have to think about it is that, like, you will end up, if you choose to be a hunter, you will end up in this situation. So it was pretty interesting to see. And then after that, their next portion is they're guided to this area with these magical beasts. I don't remember what they were called off the top of my head. I'm not going to lie.
They were like these weird, like...
They kind of, you know what they kind of looked like to me? They kind of looked like Kyo's,
the monster form.
Form.
I guess if it was slightly, like, cleaned up and prettier.
Cleaned up and, like, not as scary, they kind of looked like that. But their next test is, like, basically, like, they're, like, these shape-shifting creatures. And they first come across, this woman and, like, supposed to be her husband. And they were, like, attacked by these magical beasts. And they have to figure out that, like, oh, like, this is a setup and this is a test. So one of the things was, like, one of the female said she was married, but she was actually wearing a tattoo that showed that she had a vow of purity, like, of chastity. So they had to figure out that, and then Gon was actually able to tell apart which person was which. Which creature was which. And he was like, oh, you're a completely different person. And it made the magical beast so happy because no one ever really recognizes that they're different because they look identical to us, at least, or everyone else. And then Leorio's thing was that the husband, not really, was hurt, so he was standing by to help them and make sure that they were okay. So they end up passing that test, and they end up being guided to the actual hunter exam, which is pretty funny. So they're going through the city, and it looks like they're going to this, like, nice and fancy building, and they're like, wow, this is awesome. Like, this is great hunter material. And then the guy goes, oh, wait a minute. That's not the building, guys. And it points to this crappy
this
rundown
little shack
restaurant
looking thing. That was like, what is that?
next to the door. So they're all disappointed. And they go through, and they're all just like, meh, 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 all grumbly. And they go through the restaurant. And as they go through the restaurant, the owner goes, oh, table 3, and they like do this little kind of back and forward, and it's like a secret code, and basically they get brought to the back room, and one thing Gon does is he's like, where's the food? When are we getting the food? And they're like, you idiot, like, this is a secret code, this is how we're getting to the Hunter Museum. And Gon shakes their guide's hands and thanks him, and then the guide goes, well, I hope to help you next year, basically insinuating, which leads to that the Hunter exam it's like 1 in every 3 years does like a first time applicant pass the Hunter exam.
Mm-hmm.
So all 3 of these characters are going to the Hunter exam with basically like the mindset that like, not the mindset, but with the background that only 1 in 3 chances, like 1 in 3 years that you're going to pass, if you even come back. So they're in this room and they soon realize that it's an elevator as it starts dropping down. And then as it drops down, they end up going into this room where all the other examinees are. And everyone's kind of silent, not talking to each other. And Gon being Gon goes, hi everyone! And everyone else just
gives him the look.
Ignores him, and he's like, oh. So they go on in, and one of the characters that comes up to them is a character named Tompa. And Tompa is known as the Rookie Crusher. He's taken the exam 35 times, and he's never passed. But he does it on purpose. He doesn't want to pass. He just wants to go and crush out the rookies. But it's actually kind of a good thing, too, I guess, because, I mean, there's some people that go, like, there was one guy, he's like, and Nicholas. He was so mad at Nicholas, which was, like, a kid with a laptop.
Oh, yeah, the super, like, smart
super smart
one.
guy. But it comes back to bite him because, yeah, he might have been really smart, but you can't expect any logic when it comes to the Hunter exam. So he quickly gets crushed. But one of the things Tompa does is he gives them all juice in a can, but secretly in the can there's laxatives in it, so if they drink it, they're basically going to be out for the exam. So Gon is the one who takes the first sip, and he immediately spits it out because, once again, Gon has an incredible taste of sense of taste and smell, which are basically intertwined, and he's like, it tastes funny. And Tompa's like, what the heck? Like, in his mind, he's like, what the heck? Like, it's a flavorless laxative. They should never have this happen. But Gon has those secrets, like, those awesome skills that help him out. So the rest of them dump the juice and they don't drink it, and they're all set. And then you're kind of introduced to the next main character, whose name is Killua. And Killua is introduced by, he's just drinking the juice. Because
why not?
Killua grew up in a family of assassins. So basically, he's been around poison his whole life, that he was trained to basically be immune to poison. So he's just chugging it, and he basically tells Tompa off. So eventually, the Hunter exam begins, and they're introduced to, I can't remember what his name.
The purple-haired guy, right?
Yeah, the purple-haired guy.
Who doesn't have a mouth. He talks via mustache.
Yeah, he talks via mustache. I'm brain farting his name right now. But he basically, each examiner is a hunter, in his own right, and the exam is different every single year. Because another character that's introduced is Hisoka. Hisoka, which is a pretty infamous character, and he's a very reoccurring character.
Yes.
But Hisoka took the exam last year and almost killed one of the examiners. And everyone else's mind is like, why the heck is this guy here? Like, he almost killed someone, he shouldn't be here. But Hunter exam, there's no rules about it. If the examiner says they can be there, they can be there. So he's basically there. So the first test is they basically have to walk through a tunnel, and I believe it was like 100 and something kilometer walk or something. And it starts out with a walk, but then quickly the examiner gets up his pace, and it's really funny.
I love his goofy walk.
His walk is like
he's like got a strut.
He's got he has really long legs, and he just swings them. So eventually, it just becomes a race. And kind of like what I was saying earlier, one of the characters, Nicholas, he only calculated that it would be a 40-kilometer walk. Well, he was very wrong. So he kind of got cocky and started running to get to the front, and then soon quickly realized that, yeah, this ain't a 40-kilometer walk, and he used all his energy.
And then he disappeared, never to be seen.
Never to be seen again. Nope. He was just a one-off character to show the hunter exam means business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only an endurance test, but it's also a mind test, because you don't know how long you're going for. You don't know. It's like the panic is setting in and everything. So
exactly.
At one point, Leorio feels like he's going to give up, but then suddenly he's like, screw that, and just starts sprinting and takes off his shirt and just is wearing his tie and looks ridiculous. But also before that, Gon and Killua have their kind of first introduction, because at this point they don't know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And these two become very quick, fast friends, as they're both the same age. So Killua is originally on his skateboard, but then stops to hang out with Gon and talk to Gon the whole time. And they end up just having a great time. They're just having fun, and they end up turning it into a race at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But partially the way through, Kurapika is chatting with Leorio and asking him, okay, your reason can't just be money. Money is not just the only reason, you're doing this. And he first explains his true reasoning behind why he is doing it. And as I've said earlier, he was part of the Kurta clan who all were killed. But the reason they were killed is because the Kurta clan has these infamous scarlet eyes. And when they're at the height of their emotion, their eyes will glow scarlet. And it's supposed to be the most beautiful color in the world, that people would literally kill them just to get those eyes like that forever and have them on display. So his whole family was killed by this infamous band called the Phantom Troop. And the Phantom Troop will be pretty important characters later on. You'll actually get to meet them. And Kurapika's goal is to basically get revenge on the Phantom Troop. And to do that, he has to be a hunter. And he kind of has to become the hunter he would never want to be, but he's putting away his pride because, he wants to avenge his family, but also potentially collect all the red scarlet eyes. And then after that, Leorio kind of discusses his true reasoning, which was, in his mindset is that in the world, he grew up in a poor area, and he had a childhood friend who was very sick. And at first he thought, I can become a doctor so I can cure this. But in the end, his friend had a very curable disease, but they didn't have money, so they couldn't afford the surgery, so he died. So that kind of became in his mind. He's like, well, if I have money, I can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I can pay for the surgery, I can do this. So that's why he really wants to become it. And both of the characters, you can really, are very, compassionate characters. So you feel their emotion, you feel really bad for them, and you understand their reasonings for becoming a hunter. So eventually, they get to a set of stairs, and then it's the last couple minutes, and Gon and Killua are the first to cross the line, and they end up arguing with each other, because they made a bet that whoever made it first had to buy the other's dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And the examiner goes, well, you crossed at the same time. So they end up going, alright. Gon goes, alright, I'll buy you dinner, and you buy me dinner. And Killua's like, that makes no sense. Which was a really cute scene. And then eventually everyone else catches up to them, and they wait at the top of the stairs, and the next phase of the exam will begin. Mm-hmm. Well, it's currently still, they're in the first trial, but they're in it's a two-part phase. They made it through the tunnel, and now they have to make it through this foggy swamp. And there's a lot of creatures in there that are gonna help make it a lot harder for them. So their goal is they have to get through it and keep up with the examiner. And through that, you're able to see more interaction with the characters. You're able to see Hisoka is a very dangerous character. Mm-hmm. At one point, there's this group of other people who are taking the exam, and they decide, they've already decided that they're going to fail, so they want to kill Hisoka because they believe he shouldn't be a hunter. But then Hisoka ends up killing them all, like, instantly, because he is very overpowered right now. Like, currently, like, he's on the level probably with the examiners at this moment. And you'll find out his reasonings for being a hunter in the future. But basically you see that, and kind of where it ends off is that they all end up getting through the maze. They all have an encounter with Hisoka, but Hisoka doesn't kill them. He spares them because he kind of sees potential in them. Because you don't know it now, but Hisoka's main drive is he wants to fight. He loves to fight, and he loves to fight people that will be an interesting fight. And he believes all of them will be interesting to fight in the future. So he, like, leaves them alone. So that's basically kind of where we ended off. And eventually it's going to switch to the next phase of the exam.
Yeah, where it kind of, like, continues. I mean, overall watching it was definitely, like, it went by quick. Like, I will say.
Yeah.
Like, it had a very fast pace to it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because I remember the first episode, like, we watched, like, the midway, like, because you know how all anime have that midway bumper cut thing? The bumper popped up, and I was like, already?
Yeah.
I was like, dang.
No, it's a very quick-paced show. I will say. A very quick pace. But I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorite shows, and it only gets better and better, like, as they become hunters, because technically we haven't even gotten into the main power system of the show, which you don't even get into until after they get their license. So, and I think even the license exam is super interesting and really entertaining, but it only gets better and better after that. So I definitely recommend you finish it.
I'll get
if
to
you
it.
have time.
So I have to watch Yu Yu Hakusho first. That's, like, been on the freaking, like, I can't watch Hunter x Hunter and not watch Yu Yu Hakusho first.
I watched Hunter x Hunter, not that.
Especially because I've already started Yu Yu Hakusho. I just have to finish it.
Yeah, that's understandable.
There's just a lot of episodes.
Oh, yeah. No, there's a ton.
Of both.
Yeah, there's a lot of both.
I have other shows I really want to watch, too. It's a conundrum we're in these days.
Yeah, so much to watch, not
enough time to watch it. But yeah, I liked, the art was cool, the voice acting was really good, the dub was particularly really well done.
Yeah, the voice acting is very nice in the show. It's very pleasant.
Clean animation, fun soundtrack. I like the story it's going for. Like, I definitely see a lot of, like, because I've seen a lot of Yu Yu Hakusho, I already know I can see that it's clearly the same guy in a lot of ways. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Got to get around to it at some point. Yeah. Definitely. It looks
definitely
cool.
Recommend. I definitely think, like, especially, like, my favorite arc is the Chimera Ant arc. And that is where, well, that's where it gets really interesting. It does get a little gory, but it gets really good at that point.
I've seen Akira. I've seen
Yeah,
Gore doesn't bother me in anime.
No, it gets very good, though. Like, I think I'm going to rewatch Hunter x Hunter after I finish. I'm watching Goblin Slayer again right now, so after that, I think I'm going to catch back up with Hunter x Hunter again.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, anyways, though, I mean, I enjoyed it. I do like how freaking polar opposites these shows are.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the reason why we started this wonderful swapping series.
Well, it's fun to do because, like, we have very different, like, taste as we've discovered.
It's
like,
ironic that Inuyasha and One Piece was probably the closest we've had in terms of show diversity.
And they really aren't similar at all.
No, but they're both shonen style. Well,
yeah.
Inuyasha's more of a
shonen-esque, yeah. But it is interesting, like, our taste difference, and
and it's fun watching two things that are complete polar opposites to each other.
Oh yeah, it's definitely fun. We got a couple more planned with this.
Those
some really good ones.
Pretty far in the future though, because I want to spread these out because I don't want to.
Oh yeah.
Spam the people with anime.
No, most definitely. No, we're definitely spanning them out. But they're definitely fun to do because, like, we always tell each other, it's like, yo, you gotta watch this, and this kind of forces us to watch it, which is nice.
Yep. Well, anyways, that one was pretty fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. It was a good one. Tillard was only a little crazy for a little bit.
Yeah, she wasn't super... Oh, she's like, ooh, do you want me to join?
You want to join?
She's looking at her like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, once again, thank you for joining us on the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. The Gaming and Collecting Podcast is made on Anchor Podcasts, and you can find our show on all your major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. And you can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram, as well as on Good Pods. And the episodes do eventually come out on YouTube. It all depends on whenever I can get around to getting them done.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, once again, thanks for listening, and we will see you all next time.